Hello there, welcome to another edition of the Holiday and Cruise Clinic, the only programme on television that's purely dedicated to answering your holiday, cruise and travel related questions. So if you have one, a query, a dilemma, anything about your holidays or travel, here's how to get in touch with us. We have a website which is www.holidayandcruisechannel.co.uk. The programme has its own web page on the website as well, so if you navigate your way to the clinic page, you can ask us a question online through the website. You can also email us directly to clinic@holidayandcruisechannel.co.uk or write to us by post as well. Send us a postcard if you're on your holidays to the Holiday and Cruise Channel, Cavendish House, Brighton Road, Liverpool, L22 5NG. Great to hear from you as always, but now if you want to experience the Canadian Rockies and Whistler, wow, there's a big wow factor there, isn't there? There is really only one way to do it. It's called the Rocky Mountaineer and it offers over 45 unique train holidays on 4 distinctive rail routes, 3 rail journeys into the Canadian Rockies themselves, and 1 spectacular 3.5-hour train excursion, formerly known as Whistler Mountaineer. It goes from Vancouver to Whistler itself. Here to tell us more about that exciting place and all it can offer is Craig Upshaw from Rocky Mountaineer. Craig, welcome along to the programme.
Thank you very much. Now,
the Rocky Mountaineer, you're in charge of this awesome responsibility. Tell us about what we can expect if we go on the train.
Well, the Rocky Mountaineer offers a daylight-only service through the Canadian Rockies. We operate through the summer season of April to October. And by nature of our product, we're a tourist train. So we're a very relaxing, peaceful form of transport through the Canadian Rockies, where you travel at an average speed of just 30 miles an hour. So you get to experience all the Rockies have to offer in terms of the fantastic scenery, the amazing wildlife. Depending on your time of year, you can get to see the brown bears as they come out of hibernation, the spawning of the salmon, mountain goats rutting along the tracks, and it's great for bird life also.
Now, just give us an idea about the Rockies, because you know we have the Lake District here. We've got some wonderful mountains in North Wales, but from the UK, we're pretty tame, aren't we,
yeah,
compared to Canada? Just give us an idea how awesome the Rockies are.
They're just, I mean, it's amazing. Words, you know, can't describe. I mean, my favourite part of our journey is coming into Banff, into the Banff area, which is the kind of traditional Rockies environment, and the mountains are just huge, you know. And you're right, we just don't have anything similar to that here. I guess the nearest thing we would have is something like the Alps over in kind of France, Switzerland, in that area. And it's just a diverse landscape, the height, the snow-capped peaks, depending on when you travel, depends on what, I guess, floats your kind of boat, if you like, in terms of what you like to see. But you know, we transcend down canyons, alongside rivers, alongside lakes, and they're all, you know, surrounded by this magnificent Rockies area.
Oh, what you've got to look at out the window. What a brilliant view.
Yeah.
So if we're thinking about going on a railway train and enjoying a wonderful view, great. Obviously, you don't have to worry about driving. You can just sit and look out the window, enjoy your guests, your time, your hospitality, and also what's going on outside the window. Do you reckon it's a good idea to do a little bit of research as to what you might find outside the window, or is it best to do nothing and just wait and see what happens?
That's a great question. Is it best to do nothing? I think most of our customers would do some research, more so on the train and what they experience whilst they're on board, as opposed to what they're going to see. And I think we have a better impact perhaps when people aren't aware of what they're going to see as they travel along the tracks. I think most people have an idea of the Rockies, mountains, rivers, lakes.
Sure.
And then they're blown away by, you know, if you see the bald eagles flying past, whether you get to see some of the brown bears as they, you know, plod up to the tracks to have a few.
And they wave to the people who went past on the train.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah, we don't have them dressed up, they are real. So yeah, it's a mix, I think, and you know, we try to exceed our guest expectations in all areas of our trips, and I think we do a very good job of that.
Now, I'm sure as head of Rocky Mountaineer, you have sampled the merchandise, so to speak, haven't you? You've done a couple of rail trips.
Yeah.
Can you watch people, and can you see their jaws dropping, or can you hear the ooh or the wow factor as you're in the carriage?
Absolutely, and that's the best thing about selling a product like this is the excitement that we hear from our guests whilst they're on board the train, and I think the biggest wows and oohs are when we go over some of these narrow gauge bridges that have been
bridges?
there. Yeah, not quite trestle, but they've been there for like 100 years. There's a lot of history attached to our routes as well, and just the wows and oohs and ahs as people kind of look down, and hopefully they don't have vertigo. So we're
and you're far enough away from the Midwest to avoid cowboys and Indians running alongside on horseback, trying to get on board.
Yeah, they might struggle through the mountains on that.
Yes, they might do. Yeah. So that it all sounds wonderful. What can we expect from a train ride? Obviously, we're leaving the station, basically, aren't we, in Vancouver, in a city. So that's a great location to start, isn't it? And of course, if you're on a cruise ship, you're there anyway, aren't you?
Yeah. Well, we offer a very different journeys, as you mentioned in the beginning, and you can board the train in a number of different places, and Vancouver being one, Calgary being the other in terms of our city locations. But you can also board them in Banff and Jasper, which are in the UNESCO World Heritage Sites. Next year we're going to be using Lake Louise as an embarkation point as well.
Why is that? What have you got there that
well, Lake Louise is a destination in itself, and we're fortunate enough to have the Fairmont Chateau Lake Louise that a lot of our guests are pulled to because of the historic nature of that property.
Sounds very grand.
It's fantastic, and it's sat right on top, well, not on top of the lake, but beside the lake, and it's got fantastic views. And currently our guests go to Banff and then get bused back into Lake Louise, which is about a 45-minute transfer. So it's the first time we'll use Lake Louise, or first time Lake Louise Station is going to be used as a debarkation point for passengers in over 20 years.
Wow.
So it's really exciting for us. And it's a different experience depending on which direction you go. Coming out of a city is fantastic because you're on board the train, very excited. And then we're straight on board and we're serving breakfast as soon as our guests arrive on board the train. So they're settling into their seats.
What's Canada like then as a country? Because it's seemingly massive in my mind compared to little old UK, where you drive 20 miles and the scenery can be a little bit different. I would imagine if you leave Vancouver, how long does it take to actually get somewhere where you're able to look out the window and think there's a bear, there's an eagle, there's a nice lake or a mountain? How long does it take?
It's a good couple of hours. I mean, if I was to, I kind of compare it a little bit to travelling out of London on a train, and you go past, I guess, the industrial built-up areas, and slowly you go further north and you start hitting the green belt and the open countryside and the rolling hills. Similar to that coming out of a city like Vancouver, we go into prairie land areas, and then you start, coming alongside the lakes and following the rivers down as well, and then eventually, after probably into day 2 of our journey, then we start seeing the dramatic impact of the mountains coming in once you come out, and vice versa, depending on the direction of travel.
Now, I mentioned you do a day trip, which is a bit of a taster, isn't it, as to what you might get. But if you want to do the full hit, and you're staying overnight, or you're away from Vancouver overnight, are you sleeping on the train, or are you stopping at a station and you go into a hotel?
Yeah, we don't have any sleeping accommodation on board the train. As I mentioned, we're a daylight only service, and a typical day will start around 8 o'clock in the morning, and on our Vancouver to Banff route, for example, we'd arrive in a place called Kamloops, which is a provincial Canadian town. We'd arrive there about 6 o'clock in the evening, where we then transfer our guests to some overnight hotel accommodation. Okay. And then pick them up the following morning to board the train.
And the train, I would imagine, pretty swish and quite well appointed. Is it one of those double-deck ones where you can go upstairs and look through the observation part?
Yeah, we depends on your class of service. Okay. So we have 3 different classes of service. We have an entry-level class, which is our Red Leaf, which is a classic kind of traditional 1950s rail car with big picture windows. And then we go up to our Silverleaf single-level dome coach, which was new for 2012. We're almost done now. Can you believe it? Which is a brand new service for us, and it's been fantastically popular this year. So they've got 167% more viewing space or viewing area in terms of glass than our Red Leaf coaches, and then we get into our premium Gold Leaf service, which is a bi-level dome coach. So you've got the upstairs full dome windows as a viewing gallery, and then downstairs we have an a la carte dining room where guests take breakfast and lunch.
Brilliant. Well, I'd love to know more about the facilities on board, as well as what you can see out and how you can sit and enjoy yourself on your journey. But we're going to take a quick break for the moment. But let me just remind you before we go to the break of our handy cruise guide. Here it is. Brand new and full of loads of useful information if you're thinking of taking a cruise for the first time, or you're thinking about taking your family away. 0871 423 4444 is the number to call. Calls will cost you just 10p a minute from a BT landline, and calls from other networks as usual, and mobiles may vary. You can also request copies through our website, one of the best ways of getting hold of one of these, www.holidayandcruisechannel.co.uk. So while you're doing that, we'll take a quick break here. See you back in just a few minutes. Hello there, welcome back to the Holiday and Cruise Clinic. Today we're exploring some of the magnificent parts of the world with the Rocky Mountaineer. It's a train and it's fantastic, and we'll talk a little bit more about it in just a few moments' time. But remember, if you have a question, visas, anything to do with cruising, travel, anything like that, here's how to get in touch with us. We have a website which is www.holidayandcruisechannel.co.uk. The clinic has its own page and you can send us your questions through the website. You can also email us directly, clinic@holidayandcruisechannel.co.uk, or write to us by post as well to the Holiday and Cruise Channel, Cavendish House, Brighton Road, Liverpool, L22 5NG. Craig Upshaw from the Rocky Mountaineer is with me now. Craig, talking about a wonderful experience going on a railroad, as we probably need to call it, don't we, in Canada, through the Rocky Mountains. I mean, great way to just relax, enjoy the ride and see what's outside the window in the world of, it really is the kind of undiscovered territory, isn't it? You know, presumably there aren't many people living in that areas outside the main towns.
No, that's right. It is a really relaxing way of seeing things, and I think much more relaxing than doing a self-drive or being on a bus or coach tour, because you can get up and walk around. You're not reliant on your partner having to pull over at the side of the road if they're driving, or asking the bus driver to slow down.
Yeah. For somewhere for lunch.
That's right. Yeah, it's all there on board. You get the whole day to just sit back, relax, and enjoy the views and the superb service.
And what views they are. I'll talk a little bit more about what we can see out the window, I'm sure, in a few moments' time. But I want to know about the kind of people we're going to meet when we're on our holiday, because they can really make or break your holiday, can't you?
Yep.
If you meet people you enjoy their company with and you want to keep in touch with them, or maybe somebody who you don't get on with, it's pretty key, isn't it? What kind of people can we meet when we go on this train ride?
Well, hopefully they're all like-minded people. They're all there, they're all on holiday, relaxing to enjoy this. And we attract typically probably over 45-year-old, mainly couples who are there and wanting to have, slightly experiential experience. Yeah. Something that they wouldn't ordinarily do. It's quite an aspirational type of product, and we attract our guests from all around the world, and mainly from the English-speaking countries. We're very popular in Australia, New Zealand, similar type of landscapes, and the British love our product and love Canadians. We've got such I think a good communication with Canadians. Being part of the Commonwealth, there's a lot of attraction. They love our royal family. Yeah. Wills and Kate.
Can't say is call them American.
Well, you can't. No, you have to be very careful.
Very upset
you have to.
if you do
Whenever
that.
you come across them, just make sure you say Canadian before before American. But they're very friendly, and our staff are very friendly on board the trains as well.
So with your daytime service, presumably, do you serve breakfast when you leave Vancouver? You do lunch, I presume, and then what about the evening meal? Is that in the hotel accommodation, or do you serve that on the train as well?
We serve breakfast and lunch on board the train on both days of the two-day journey. The evening meal, we actually leave our guests to go out and discover the overnight destination, if you like. So Kamloops on this on our Banff route, or Cornell, where we go a little bit further north. And we provide them with a map of the town, some restaurant recommendations.
Brilliant.
And then he can just go out and relax and find somewhere to eat.
Good, of course, and make your way back to the hotel without fear of the train leaving when you're in the restaurant.
That's right, yeah, absolutely, yes. Yeah, we'll give them the whole night there.
Yeah. And what sort of food for lunch? Is it fairly European, American, Canadian? The Canadian
well,
diet
the Canadian
like?
is definitely there, yeah. We use the finest, freshest Canadian produce, such like things like Albertan beef, short ribs, British Columbian salmon.
I was just thinking about that. There's a salmon out the window, getting its way at the river. Next thing, it's on my plate now.
That's right. Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. We source all our produce very locally. We're very supportive of our local communities. And so you've got a variety, and again, it depends on which class of service you travel in, but every class offers a unique experience in our food, and everything from our red leaf, where we have trade kind of chilled salads, and salmon, chicken salads, and then right up to our gold leaf, where you're having a 3-course a la carte meal.
Right, and everything is accounted for and attended for. To you in your
yes, yeah,
sounds like a great luxury way of doing it.
It is, and our attendants on board love serving the customers, and they're very sociable.
Are they knowledgeable of the local area? Obviously you're covering a lot of ground, so the local area changes as you move along, doesn't it? But if I was to point out the window and say, "Oh, is that an eagle?" then somebody will be able to tell me yes or no, would they?
Yeah, that's a great question, and something that I guess we don't shout about because it's part of our kind of wow experience as our guests get on board the train. This year, before our season started, all our onboard hosts went through an accredited what we call creative storytelling. And they're not just making it up. It is they've been trained in the flora, fauna and history of each of the routes, so they can be more informed and answer guests' questions.
And will they do that whether you want it or not? Will they do a kind of running commentary on the microphone, or is the option to just sit and enjoy it?
It's an ongoing commentary. It's not a running all day long. They'll only point out the marquee points as we go past, or if somebody spots a bear, then everybody's on the train.
Bear on the left.
Bear. From the driver all the way down. Yeah, and the driver will slow down. If we see bears at the train, they'll slow right down, so everybody gets the opportunity. And all our hosts are connected through the kind of earpieces. So if somebody in the first carriage sees something remarkable, they'll pass it all the way down, so everybody gets the
quickly gets passed on.
Absolutely, yeah. So everybody gets the opportunity to
And I suppose depending on what time of year you're going as well, there's something a little bit different to see, but presumably you're only in the high season, are you?
So we operate between the end of April and the beginning of October. And the reason being our service is a daylight service, and we maximise the use of the sunlight and daylight hours. And it will vary throughout the season. So right at the beginning, there's still a lot of snow on the mountains. So you've got that really dramatic snow-capped look, and then as you get further through the season, you get into September, October, then you see the full colours changing. So there's really something for everybody, depending on what they particularly want to see.
Okay, and this kind of inside information that you might not necessarily know until you're getting to the stage of looking around for something to do. Like most of the things we talk about on this programme, it's all about doing, going back to what I was saying before, I suppose, doing a little bit of research about what the atmosphere and the environment's going to be like before you leave. Do your research then, and then there aren't too many surprises of an unpleasant kind, shall I say. You go there and you say, well, you can't see that kind of bear because it's not out there until August, and it's April. That kind of thing, really.
And we have varying ways for people to find that information through our website, and we have a YouTube channel, so you can go on and research and look at our videos. And then one of the biggest ones is growing is Facebook, where we have our customers' posts. So that's really interesting. I think if customers are looking, they want to hear what people, real people have to say about their experience, and that's a great source of information to go and read.
I mean, obviously on this programme, folks, we talk about cruising quite a lot, and we've got our guide, which I'll tell you about before the end of the programme. But if you have a cruise, you can easily, include Vancouver on your itinerary if it's not included already, and then you're there. Which comes first? Do people think I'll go and do the rail journey, but I want to do cruise as well, or do they have a cruise and they have a couple of days free and they want to do the rail journey? How does it all fit together?
Great question, and we have a huge attachment to Alaska cruising because of our home base being Vancouver. And typically, our guests will do the Rocky Mountaineer first, probably coming from the Rockies into Vancouver, and then do their 7 to 9 night Alaskan cruise. But you can do it in either direction. Our product is very flexible to enable our guests to decide which way to do it. We're seeing, I think, because of the nature of the Rockies, a bit more active, and then 2 days on the train, coming to Vancouver. It's a city, a couple of nights in Vancouver, and then you've got your 7-night kind of relaxing cruise up into Alaska. So I think people, do the Rocky first and the Rockies first, so they have that relaxation.
Okay, yeah. Because it's very strenuous looking out the window.
Well, I know.
All this scenery, isn't it?
I know, 2 days sitting is...
Wow! I'm so blown out. I've got to relax for the next 2 weeks.
That's
now.
Right. Yeah.
Interesting that you put down something about. You were saying something about Facebook there, and obviously, you see it all the time with social media now. Oh, I've got to update my Facebook. Look at that bear over there. Just seen a bear. And see how many likes you can get from that.
Yeah.
But can you use your laptop and Wi-Fi and phone and everything, because you're in the middle of nowhere, aren't you?
Yeah, there's kind of intermittent phone coverage as you travel through. We don't have Wi-Fi on the trains as yet. I'm not sure satellites sitting on top of the trains will look so attractive. But yeah, you can get it as you come through, and certainly through the overnight stops. We have a lot of people will go into the bars and restaurants in the town and start updating.
Sure, of course.
Posting photos as they've been coming through.
Absolutely. Something new for 2013 then. Tell us about what we can experience for next year.
Well, next year we have a very exciting development on Rocky Mountaineer. We'll be going south of the border into the US and down to Seattle, and coming back to the kind of cruise focus. Seattle's a big cruise port for Alaska cruising as well. So next August we're doing 4 departures, which are coming from Vancouver down to Seattle, and are actually going to be joining our 2-day rail routes across to Banff and Jasper. So it'll be the first time we offer a US connection, first time we offer a 3-day rail journey with an overnight in Vancouver plus the additional overnight, and we're just offering that in gold leaf service. So it's the best of the best, and we connect to, I think, about 8 cruise lines that come in over that particular weekend that we're operating.
Brilliant.
So there's a lot of choice there for people to choose from.
Okay, great. Well, something to include on your cruise itinerary, Craig. Thank you very much indeed. Let me tell you a little bit about our cruise, first-time guide to cruising. Take your family, enjoy yourself, find out all about how to do it safely and enjoy yourself in the process. 0871 423 4444 is the number to call. 10p a minute from a BT landline. Calls from other networks and mobiles, as usual, may vary. Don't forget to look at our website as well for a copy, www.holidayandcruisechannel.co.uk. Well, that's all we have time for on today's edition of the Holiday and Cruise Clinic. My thanks again to Craig Upshaw from Rocky Mountaineer. Most of all, thank you for watching, and I'll see you again next time. Goodbye.